Hi there, Robin here, and in this video we are going to be talking about the Alto Professional Live 802, which is an 8-channel mixer from Alto. This also offers USB audio interface capabilities with 2 channels out, 2 channels in, and it's going to be recording and playing back at CD quality, so that means 44.1 kilohertz. Other good features about this mixer is the fact that it has a 9-band graphic equalizer built right in that you can engage or disengage, and this is a very big feature. In a live setting, you are also, besides having to EQ your individual channels, you're now going to have to EQ the space that you're in, the room, the hall, the bar, or be it your living room. And by having an actual 9-band EQ right on the unit is going to make that job really easy. If we check the overall features when it comes line by line and what actually comes with the unit, you're going to learn real quick that it does have 5 XLRs, which is very nice. So you're not 4 like traditionally, but 5 on this particular model. And the first 2 channels are going to have compressors built into it. So that's really going to keep all the detail and the richness in your sound, but without having it peak out, which is real important. So all the channels right across, that's from 1 all the way to channel 8, have gain controls on them. So of course you're increasing or decreasing the line levels here. When you're using the other channels with the mic inputs, you're also going to be adjusting the mic gain on it as well. It goes all the way up to plus 50. So that's really good if you have a microphone that requires a lot of gain, because there are certain condenser microphones out there that require a lot of power to be pushing against it. So this way it gets a good clean signal. Below that, you're going to find that there's a button across the first 5 as well. So every mic input has a low cut at 75 hertz right across. I actually have the first one engaged because, as you can see, the compressor's lighting up. We are using an XLR on channel 1. This happens to be the actual recording you're listening to is this mixer. Notice I have no EQ adjustments done to it. I haven't even tweaked the individual channels. So now we can actually have a little bit of fun with it so you can see how these actual EQs work. I can increase or decrease my bass just by simply adjusting this level right here. This takes out all the bass out of my voice. This leaves me at flat, and here we are adding that 80 hertz into it. Now if we go into the mid-range, this is really going to be dominant where my voice is. It goes to 2.5 kilohertz. So if I bring that up, there we go. I'm going to increase and I can decrease my voice. See how that just pulls it right out just like that. And again, the highs, 12 kilohertz. So here we are increasing it or decreasing it just by making those small adjustments. Next, you're going to have 2 green knobs, which represent the auxiliary and the digital effects that are built inside. The aux/monitor is connected to what's going on up here. Now, what that's going to allow me to do is either have a stage monitor for myself if I want, or maybe I need to do a mix minus for a call in if I'm using it for a podcast or a live stream. Mix minuses allow you to take a caller in, let's say, have them listen to everything else on the board except for themselves. Now, down below, you have DFX. That's the digital effects that are built into the board. So when we're looking at the effects, they have a total of 99 on the dial. So they are basically combining both the effect itself and the parameters into one control function. Parameter is how big or how small you can increase or decrease that effects. We're going to sample the actual effect and how the parameters work. So right now we do have the effects on number 1 right up to the top. So we've set it all the way to plus 10 dB. We currently have the effects down here muted. So we're going to unmute that and we're going to see that effect kick in. And there we are. So now it's kicked in, it's engaged. I've disengaged it by pressing the mute button. So what we're going to do is I'm going to re-engage it, and then I'm going to show you the difference between being at 0, 0, changing the parameter, increasing it all the way up to 9, bringing that number up to 0.9. So again, we'll try that again. So now we're at 0, 0. The delay is at its minimum parameter. We can increase that by turning this all the way to 9. Notice only until I push in on the button does the effect actually take place. And there you go. That is maximizing the actual delay. I can mute that just by pressing the button here. Now that effect has been muted. I can unmute it by pressing that button and it kicks right back in. No delay in actually activating it. It's constantly running in the background, but the actual mute button allows me to take it away whenever I want. And of course I had that on the maximum setting here for volume. And those effects will run through all the way up to large hall. So there are 10 settings altogether ending in large hall. Below that we have a panning option. On microphone channels you're going to see the word pan. On channels that have like 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 where they're paired off for left and right again, you'll have a balanced option. So the signal is always the same. We're either taking away from the left or we're going to take away from the right by turning that knob. So pan and balance the same. Pan is going to be used on single channels with microphones on them. Balance is going to be used on paired off channels. So if we give this a try here, we can pan our signal to to the left, and now we're just on the left side, and bring it back up. You'll notice the meter, dynamic meters are showing both channels now, and again, we'll go to the right side, and here we are just on the right side. The left channel's completely turned off. And there we are. Now we're back to both channels, and if you're listening to this in stereo, you'll know because that effect would have gone from your left to your right. Now, because the actual knobs are color-coded, we can follow through and see that all the knobs are all the way into channel 7 and 8. The only ones we're missing are compressors, which are located only on the first two, but everything we've talked about so far is across the whole board. When we get to the actual control side, this is the main output side of the unit, so we're controlling the signal come out the main. We're going to notice that we have sliders, of course, which are great. We have unity placed at about 3/4 up the actual slider, and then we're either at plus 10 dB or we can turn the unit completely off at the bottom. So all the channels are set up with a signal indicator at the bottom, which is really nice. And there is a peak setting up on top. So we definitely want to have a good signal, which is what we're seeing here. And we don't want to have that peak light going off on top. Above all the sliders, we have mute buttons across the entire board. This includes the digital effects return and the aux return as well. The monitor has the option to be muted, and so does the main. The only channel currently not muted right now were the digital effects, because we were using that earlier, and the actual main output, which is being sent off to the computer. There are 3 other knobs on the actual unit. So the last knob makes reference to 2-track input. So this is going to refer to the actual RCA jacks that are located on the backside. We haven't seen the backside, but there are RCA jacks that lead in and RCA jacks that lead out. So if we have a traditional RCA analog connection to the unit, we can use this control again to push the sound to the main out, or to just have it in the queue. Taking that, as mentioned, we should talk about what is on the back. So you do have XLR and balanced, unbalanced 1/4 inch jacks going out of the unit. The monitor is 1/4 inch, balanced or unbalanced. And then, of course, like I mentioned earlier, we do have RCAs in and out along with the USB option. And to cover a few of the last buttons that we didn't mention to this point, up on top here, we do have our phantom power, which is how we run our condenser and ribbon microphones, our EQ on and off option, and we have the option to have the EQ either go to the main out or just to the monitor. There is a USB port located on top. It's power only, and as indicated, it says 5 volts, 1 amp. Personally, in the showroom here, we actually have little lamps that come on top for about $5, $10. They're great. They just plug in the USB port, and that lights up the whole board when it's dark. And there we go. That covers all the overall features of the machine. The benefits are just phenomenal because you can just keep adding and adding and adding on top of this machine. There's very few limitations to this machine, so we do enjoy using it. Of course, when we're using it right now, it's going to be very easy for me to go back to the computer. I'm currently just using Audacity with it, but now when you buy these machines, they're bundled with, I think it's Pro Tools now to this point. Definitely check the description to see in detail which software bundle you're going to get with it. Alto is part of a big family of brands, and they do have power when it comes to how much actual software comes bundled in with their machines. So that's always a big benefit when you're buying an Alto product. I always enjoy using Alto products. They always seem to just work, and that's always great. And you always seem to get a little bit of extra for how much you spend on it. The value and performance is really, really well done on their products. So that wraps up today's video. I'd like to say thank you for watching. I hope this helped you in your buying decision today. Maybe we'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.